Welcome aboard everybody and good morning. My name's Grantham and today, this Tuesday, fantastic Tuesday, unexpected stream, we're going to be flying from Serbia, Belgrade Airport, Lima Yankee Bravo Echo to Istanbul and all the places in the world. I thought we would do a very special flight to Istanbul and I'll explain a bit more later. So welcome aboard, let's get straight in. Today we're going to be doing something a little bit different. We're in the 737 of course, but it's plain. Just outside here on the ramp, we've got a connection, we've got a food truck, and as I say, plain white because we're not really on a mission with an airline, we're simply going from, at the moment, Europe, through Europe onto Russia, Moscow. So this flight today should be quite enlightening. We should be able to see or plan out our next flight after we arrive at Istanbul. If there's no issues, we may be able to circle around certain countries and get there through Georgia, hopefully. So yeah, here's the aircraft. It's looking pretty standard. Really good to see it in white though. It's good to see the plane with the bare bones on it. And of course, if you want to customize it, you can do. You can always put a livery or color skin on this. Now, in terms of the connection, I'm not sure why this food truck has connected. I haven't requested it, so it must just be a thing that it does for this particular livery. So let's see if the interior is a little bit different. So I haven't checked this one before. We've got ground power, so that's good. Let's connect that now. Ground power, so everything's pretty standard. The tab seems to be in the right place. All the layout is perfect. All the quick views work. So we'll go ahead and get started. So of course with ground power, so that means we can actually start up things like the excuse me, we can actually start things like the APU up with the ground power, and we need the battery on, and we need to do the APU and things. So let's go ahead and do that. Just doing the standard tests. This is expected to be 1 hour 52 block time, so about an hour and 30 flight time, and 20 minutes for startup. I usually do about 30 minutes for startup because, well, just because it takes that long usually. So APU's kicking in. Let's just keep an eye on our fuel. I've got a lot of fuel on board. I've got something like 16,000 kilograms, or I think that's in pounds. So we've got 16,000 pounds. That should be in kilograms. Weight and balance. I have got a flight plan in front of me. So airside services. We've not got many on board today. We're going to 118 passengers. Now just going back to the IRS, because we're on ground power, we can do it now. We can align it now. Because we have the power available and ground power. And we can start up more systems. We could put the fuel pumps on early if we wanted to. We can, test a few of these, put the pitot heat. Although to be fair, it's saying it's 24 degrees outside. It's very warm in Serbia at the moment, in Belgrade, and of course in Turkey as well. So we might not even need those heaters on. To be fair, throughout the flight, we will do when we're cruising. Of course, emergency exit lights. There's no passengers, so we don't even have to. You can put it on immediately. It's just standard practice, but if you don't, it's no bother. Flight level today is 31,000. We'll do it in a slightly different order than we're used to. I'm going to turn the cabin control down and make sure that it's nice and clean, and well, get some clean, cool air in the cabin for passengers. We test the enunciation recall. Test. Got a pass on there. We have a pass on there. Okay, we got that. When I say we got that, it means we've passed. I could just say passed. And of course we go down here. Make sure we got extinguishers working. Now, yeah, we should. If we want to start the APU, we should really start that test up before, because obviously if there's a fire, we'll have to make sure it's working for the APU fire discharge. And that's a strange one. You have to pull it up. I'm not going to show you, but you'll have to pull it up and then twist it to activate it. I'll also make this little panel down here slightly brighter as well, so you can see it. And we are going to be doing VATSIM. I should really change the stream name because I haven't been streaming with VATSIM in the title, so I don't know if people would prefer that or not. It would make sense, I guess. Good morning as well to anyone who's here from England, and good morning. I'm just going to change it now. Actually, I'll leave it. Good morning to anyone from England. Good morning to anyone from wherever else in Europe it might be. So I'm just going to go on pre-fire flight plan of that sim. We can listen to the ATIS once we're on there. I'll fill in the cargo first. So cargo today. Now it's a bit confusing because it's coming up as pounds. I don't know what's. Excuse me. I don't know what the problem with the pound issue is. Let's try and change it. Let's change the euro first. So display systems. Of course, being from the UK, I'm used to kilograms. I could do it again in. I could check the flight plan in kilos, but it seems a bit of a pain, to be honest. I might be missing out. I'm too lazy to look through that. So let's go ahead on SimBrief. I'm going to try and edit and have it display in pounds. That might make things slightly easier. Okay. So I'm on SimBrief. I should be able to. I want to be able to put this up on the screen at some point during the stream. So just at the moment, trying to change the kilograms to pounds. I'm going to do this the cheating way. I'm just literally going to use a converter from online. So let's go ahead and convert that into pounds. Real pain if you're an actual pilot. So it's saying it's about £6,258. See if we can paste that in. No. So 6258. Fuel. We have to do the same again. Forgive me. I didn't realise this was going to be an American style plane. So fuel we need 7,356. 7,356 kilograms, which translates to about 16,217 pounds. Okay. Would be cool if you could paste that in there. 1627. Now the jetway's working this time. Thank goodness. I'm going to call the fuel truck. I'm going to get the passengers on board as soon as possible. You have got a ground call button there. Okay, we're just waiting for the IRS, so I'll connect to that, so we'll get the flight plan filed. We can get our clearance hopefully once the FMC is programmed. Standard things, if you've seen the stream before, you know there's a standard like 30 minutes at the beginning to get things started. Okay, thank you very much. So we're on IFR flight, of course. Okay, so the reason it's so quick, we already had £16,000 of fuel on board, which was convenient. Anyway, I'm just doing the sim brief. Let's close that cockpit door. So cockpit door is closed. I've got a quick key for that. Makes it a hell of a lot easier. So block time 1 hour 24 for air time, about 1 hour 2 hours because we account for the startup and things. So supposed to be departing in a couple of minutes. We're not going to make it. About 22:11. It's about 11:45 now in the UK. Calculating the fuel, I think we got about 2.5 hours worth of fuel on board. Yeah, about 2.5 hours worth. Okay, flight plan filed. So now when I connect to the network, it should come up. The ATIS. You'll see it on the top. Top. Let me get rid of my computer thing. You see it on the top right. Double check call sign. I don't want to be calling myself something incorrect. We've gone for basic one. We've literally gone for TV. As in Tango Victor 220. That's it. That is literally it for the call sign. Very, very simple. We're Boeing 738, which is 737-800NG edition, new generation. You see they're connected to the voice server, so hopefully we've got someone in Belgrade to give us clearance. If not, we'll have to just fly the route as programmed. So it usually takes a moment. If you've gone onto VATSIM before, it takes a moment to do the connection and to find anyone. It doesn't look like there's anybody online. We've got LYBE Center. We may be able to get request clearance from them possibly. I mean, it's a possibility. I think that's Romania. Apologies for the silence, just flicking through some things. So it looks like ATC's out of the question. I'm going to tune that frequency onto the second one anyway and just have a listen who's on it. So 122.030. I have to apologise to you all as well, regular viewers and things. I'm sorry I haven't done this flight earlier. I was putting it off. We had Easter. I hope you all had a good Easter, and I didn't want to do it during the week because it's been quite nice weather as well. So trying to make the most of that rather than sitting on the computer. So passengers have just started boarding. Take a quick look outside. Somebody's opened the... I'm not sure why that's open. That shouldn't be open. Well, the back door should be, and that isn't. So that might be a glitch. Try and open it with my hand. No. Okay, so there are people on that frequency. It's not ours. We got a lot of doors open that shouldn't be, and a lot of doors closed that should be open. Okay, let's get them closed before takeoff. Make sure my views are in the correct position as well. Yes, fantastic. Okay, so I don't know what's going on. I think that might be Leeds. That's absolutely bizarre to pick up on Leeds in Serbia, Belgrade. Absolutely bizarre. IRS is aligned. Okay, so we can program the route. I have downloaded it. I've seen a lot of YouTubers stream and struggle to, or take a while to put the route in, but really just do what I do and download it from SimBrief and then just install it into the FMC. So I'll talk through it again. I have done it multiple times. You should know, but if you watch this course on a regular basis, or maybe you fly on a regular basis, we're at gate Alpha 3 today. Port number 3. It's not coming up. LYBE. Okay, we can go on to the flight plan request now. So initialization, navigation data, flight plans, and it should appear. So there's ours. Last flight. There's Prague to Belgrade, which is the one we, of course, did a week or two ago. And if we click next, there it is. So Lima Yankee Bravo Echo to Lima Tango Foxtrot Mike. That's the one we want. That's Istanbul Airport. Go back to route, put it into company route. Flight number is 220. So yeah, that's pretty good. It's really handy. I highly recommend doing it. It takes like a moment to do, to download it as well. It doesn't take up too much space on the computer, and once you've done, you can either delete it or keep it. So it's giving us 30 left. That's coming up on the flight plan, and arrival 35 right. Just confirming that. So we'll execute. Double check the route. Very friendly in in this part of Europe, in the Balkans and Belgrade, Serbia. Very friendly people. So we want the TPL free whiskey departure, I think. TPL free whiskey. Okay, so selected that. Let's check the arrival. So it's done it all correctly. That's actually a relief. I mean, sometimes it doesn't do the departure or the arrival, and it can be a bit of a pain. So let's go ahead and step this. Step by step. Going Osvix. It's a familiar one. It's quite impressive actually. That's a clean upload. I've not done that in a while. Okay, we do. I was going to say almost clean. We have a break at the end there, but that's probably the go around if we miss. Have we got the runway selected? Ah, that would be. That's very strange. So I thought it was working, but it's. We got the approach, but we've not got the runway. So we'll leave it for now as 35 right. If there's one there. Now let's double check it. Some steep turns on that. Approach is looking alright, then a gap before gap D. How fitting. That seems to be taking you on to like a standard circuit there with downwind base, like when it takes us to the runway, and of course there's the holding pattern should we need it. Fantastic. I think we're good. We just need to do a few more things. So flight level 310. I'm going to send them a message on that frequency and ask if I need clearance first. Let me ask. It's always good to ask if there's a centre available, even if there's no one in your country. You can usually get clearance from someone else. I found anyway. So cruise altitude. We'll go back on menu. Let's check the passengers. About 88% done at the moment. Navigation's on. Absolutely fantastic day to fly as well. Okay, back to the map. We get our standard pressure from. Can either do it from SimBrief. It does have it on the flight planner. We can do it from the actual game, so that's always handy. Map. Nice strong winds, and we're not the only person at the airport. I didn't even realise we do have company, and we've got people departing. So they'll be departing from here. So details. Q. The Q is the QNH. So 1014. We're already pretty much at that 1014. Fantastic. I'll go ahead and engage the flight directors. Set heading for 310. And course for 310 as well. Technically our course after departure won't be 310, it'll be the opposite way. Okay, so I can't get clearance from that gentleman, that's fine. We're going to go ahead and set 310 anyway on the course. Initial altitude, give me a moment to find it. Okay, thank you very much. So everybody's chatting. We're actually pretty much ready to go. I'm just going to keep in the cockpit from now on, so all doors are closed. That's looking pretty good. So you can't get clearance with that gentleman, so I'll have to stick on Unicom 122.8. 122.8. I hope you can see that. Just tune in, navigate radio 2 there. Switch it to the active frequency. You can switch to VHF2 there, or the other ones, or whatever you want to be honest. And there's a cabin personal announcement thing down there. You know, the whole works to communicate with the plane. That red light is the overhead light. My light, sorry. Right. Let's go ahead and request pushback. Pre-plan. 30. It'd be cool if we could zoom out so we can see where the runway is. 1, 2. Let's just go ahead and push out that way, and if we need to change, we can.
Ground to cockpit, plan acknowledged. Call me through the menu when you are ready. Ground to cockpit, tow is driving up.
Absolutely amazing to get this flight done on a Tuesday. It feels fantastic to get it done before midday. We've done well on time. We've actually done really well. I think we've done this in 15 minutes. Here comes the pushback. You can actually, it's a very cool feature, you can actually be the pushback driver, but that's not my job today. Anyway, we're going to put RTO, auto throttle. We have to program this FMC still, my mistake. I'm really jumping the gun here. We can do it now though,
Okay, all doors and hatches are closed. Ready to connect.
Okay, so let's get them reconnected, and when we're ready to push back, we'll do the brakes off. So cost index today is 78. We actually do have a takeoff wind as well. I have written it down, 25607. Not got the 80s available. Plan fuel. So it's coming up in pounds, my mistake. So I think it was something like 16.
Tow connected and bypass pin inserted. Release parking brake.
So outside air temperature is 24. It's very warm. 5 degrees, center of gravity 475. Okay, 134. That is us going. We're ready to depart, so brakes off.
Starting pushback.
And
you may start engines.
Thank you very much. Welcome everybody to my flight. Grantham's flight from Belgrade to Turkey, Istanbul. Okay, that's why I just realised we didn't even connect the APU to the power. Thank goodness, I just remembered at the end. Let's go ahead and start the engine, so beacon's on. Okay, so reset the auto throttle, that's fine. I think I'm missing something here. Seem to have rushed ahead on it, so it's APU bleeder. There's the engine starting up. So we lined up on the right way. There's 30 left sign, category 3. We're going to need the entirety of the runway for this. Engine 1 starting up absolutely fine. Still check all the lights. Just stick the taxi lights on. Test the cross speed. Engine 1 started.
Operation complete. Go ahead and set the parking brake. Disconnecting tow. Stand by.
Okay, the cabin is secured. Have a good flight.
Nice and late on the fuel introduction. There we go. So engine 2 has started successfully.
Tow is disconnected and bypass pin has been removed. Hand signal on the left. We'll see you next time and have fun up there.
Thank you very much. We're not going to be having too much fun. We're professional pilots after all. Okay, so generators off the APU, and just did the valves open on the packs, or automatic on the backs. You hear it, and then the isolation valve. Automatic, I think it was already automatic done. So that's decent. APU bleed air off. APU off. So someone's on Unicom saying they're going to taxi, but oh, he's behind. I see. I see. Let's get going. There shouldn't be any rush really if he's doing it properly, so we'll give them a courtesy call when we're about to depart. Let's get going. Got traffic alert because we stuck the transponder on. We'll probably stick the weather radar on. No, I don't want to break any rules, so we'll stick it on when we get there. Everything's looking good at the moment. Flight controls. Looking good as well. Yeah, there should never be any rush by other pilots to get through taxiways, especially if somebody's doing their pre-flight checks, you know, surface controls and things. Now, if you remember last stream, I figured out there was 3 options for this, but it's only got 2 in this one. I think certain variants have different variability in the switches. Okay, so we want 30 left. Make sure we're going the right way. Ah, so he's taking the other taxiway, thankfully. That's good. Very kind of him to do so. There he is, Air Serbia. Not very patient. Initial cruise I didn't check the initial climb altitude, blimey. We'll say 5,000 feet, and when we get to transition level we'll just carry on up to 31,000. Arm the lateral navigation and vertical navigations. Going to be a quick departure to the left. Belgrade traffic, this is Tango Victor 220, taxi into 30 left. Apart from me, I said it before, I want more people to speak on that sim when they're on Unicom, because a lot of them use the chat, and you know, you're on the sim, at least try and make the effort to make a call on Unicom. I'm not trying to put them down, but you know, text chat just doesn't quite do it. You know, especially when you're flying around, you don't have time to look at a chat box. Anyway, flight control's looking good. About 16 knots. I'm gonna set transponder now to TARA. That's a random squawk code, by the way. Usually on a VFR flight you would squawk something like 1200, so 1200. IFR you would need a specific code, but there's no ATIS or HC available for us. As soon as it becomes available, I promise I will communicate with them. Very cool. I don't know what the average speed of the simmers are on that sim, but they tend to go pretty fast on the taxiways. I wouldn't feel comfortable going 23 knots on the taxiway, even in a Boeing 737. It's just way too fast. And that guy in front must be doing at least 40. So he's gonna get a speeding ticket. Pretty long runway actually. It's got sufficient length if you want to even land a jumbo here. Excuse me, a jumbo might be able to land here possibly. It feels like that kind of runway. You have to check the lengths, of course. Cross-reference your aircraft handbook. So just give you a reference, we're going to 30 left obviously and down Alpha. Our departure is going to take us to the south, so the southwest initially, and then of course we'll be continuing on in Istanbul. If it's anything like here, it's going to be 25, this is 25 degrees Celsius here. So when we get in Istanbul, hopefully it's going to be pushing up into the 30s. Just going to double check we stick the window heat on. I know it's hot outside, but when we get up to cruising altitude it's going to be cold. It's going to be freezing. Right, Serbia is going. Make sure he does it smoothly. Okay, so he's texting chat again, or he or she, I don't know who they are. I'm going to hold short the runway. Ooh, Dachi. There goes our fickle trend into the sunset. Not quite the sunset, but there he goes into the sun. Flying high with Air Serbia. What an airline. Okay, we can line up on the runway, so I'm gonna just do this all voice comms because there's no one else on, so I can talk on Unicom at least. So there's that one switch I was talking about. So you got 1 and then 2. Ignition continuous, strobes on. We don't need, obviously don't need window wipers, it's dry outside. Flap set, takeoff RA, TARA on transponder. Weather radar on. Ready to depart. You're wondering why we're in white lettering, it's because we're flying to Moscow eventually and we want to fly there in a neutral, fairly neutral plane. We don't want to be in an airline we recognise. Okay, so we're way off centre line. Belgrade traffic, Tango Victor 220, departing 30 left. Make sure I'm on the actual Unicom as well. There's 40%, we said takeoff, go around thrust. 80 knots. $120. V1. Rotate. Positive rate climb. Gear up. Okay, there's that depart and turn to the west. 400 feet. We're going to retract the flaps up to 1 and put our nose down to 10 degrees. And start that depart and turn to the left.
1000.
Middle marker. We need to go around to the runway in case of emergency. We can always go back onto the ILS. So there's about 25 degrees of bank there. Focusing entirely on the plane at this point. We don't want to worry too much, and of course flaps up, we don't want to worry too much about the autopilot or the lights until we get up to a safer altitude and once we're established on the route. So gear can go in neutral. Remember, initial altitude is 5,000 feet. That's what I've determined it to be. It's not actually the actual feet. It's saying 6,000 feet, so we're well within that. Pitch up to maintain about 250 knots. So N1 speed kicked in. This autothrottle, as I mentioned earlier or before, is completely separate system to the autopilot. So you can control the autothrottle, and the throttle's independent of other factors such as the heading and altitude, which is a fantastic feature on an aircraft. So we're going up to BE 403, and that's saying between 6,000 between 4 and 6,000 feet, and then we're cleared up to flight level 170, but we're going up to flight level 310. Let's just maintain that. Stick the autopilot on. Can stick the landing lights off. Bit of a pain. Ignition could come off. Should have turned the taxi lights off on the ground. That's absolutely fine though. More brightness makes us look better. Lovely, lovely weather. Really is. So we're going to maintain this for now until we get clear of the Belgrade Airport, until we're clear the airspace, and then we can clear ourselves up to 31,000 feet. So there's the other aircraft, and we'll be departing to the south down here. See, there's our temperature I was talking about earlier, 21 degrees now. Cabin, if you go into passenger cabin, to me 21 degrees would be too warm for the passenger cabin, so we're going to go ahead and turn that down. The reason it's too warm is because it's an airplane, it's a hot box basically, you're trapped inside, there's no windows you can open. When you're inside a stuffy cabin, that's extremely warm, and if the air conditioning breaks, you're going to have an unpleasant flight, let's put it that way. Okay, so we're maintaining 5,000. We're going to click this up to 310, and in a moment we click flight level change, it'll do it. It will change altitude. Don't have to climb now till we get to Osvix. Just after that curve there, a little bit of a bend, and then top of climb, lit up in green of course. Welcome in to any new viewers, and welcome to board to my regular European flight. We're doing a special flight today, aside from the Easter one we did on Sunday. This is special because we're going from Europe to Asia. Istanbul is a bit of an in-between country. It sits on the border. It sits right on the edge of Europe, while simultaneously being on the edge of Asia as well, so it's kind of a transcontinental flight, which is fantastic. Not a transcontinental flight. I think it's intercontinental flight. I mean, my mistake. Just checking up the weather, of course, for Istanbul Airport and make sure it's nice and warm. So we're going to go on METAR. It's very useful to use, especially if you're using it alongside things like SimBrief and VATSIM. So Lima Tango Foxtrot Mike, Istanbul Airport. Looking very, very nice and warm indeed. Mild winds and moderate pressure, so we'll get there in about an hour, I think an hour and a half. At the moment I'm going to take a break. I'm going to step away while we let the aircraft climb up to 31,000. So what I'm going to do for you is I'm going to select, I'll do it now, I'll select flight level change, and you can watch it, and if anything goes wrong, take control for me, so I'll be right back. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I've stepped back to the cockpit. I've just noticed something very, very cool, which is a cool feature on the aircraft in the game, and I think real aircraft as well. So when this little box lights up yellow, 1014 hectopascals, that's the pressure. It means we've crossed the transition altitude, so we set it to standard pressure. When you're coming back down, it will also go yellow, and we'll have to change it to local pressure. So very, very cool feature on an aircraft. The cockpit in general, I've not really had a look in this one because there's not anything different. Let's put it that way. There's nothing different to the standard. Let me just check that. Yeah, there's nothing different to the standard default Boeing 737 you get with the X-Plane 12. Graphically it looks the same, layout's much more interactive of course, and I finally figured out how to operate and move around the cockpit with a keypad, so very cool. We do actually have a mirror there, and a peephole. Ah, that's very cool, I've never noticed that before. Let's see if we can see anyone on board. Can't quite see anyone on board there. Can change it if you go on to settings, customize, I think visual effects, passengers auto, or show passengers if it doesn't work, and then we should have passengers on board. I'll trust in the plane because I haven't got a co-pilot. I have to use and trust the autopilot to be my co-pilot, so yeah, make it that what you will. 31,000, we've got about another 12,000 feet to go. Give us time to look around. Okay, cool, so there are people on board. You can just about see them. You see the heads? Can't go in the toilets on this though, which is disappointing, and we got someone in the back there who looks like a famous actor. Anyway, here's the turn, so we're well ahead of schedule. 6,000 feet, 27,000, 31,000 feet. I think we're going to be crossing a few time zones, so I want to check the time in Istanbul as well. I know a few words, a few Turkish words. I know merhaba, I believe it is, but my pronunciation is awful, so forgive me. So time in Istanbul is actually 2 hours ahead of us when we get there. What time did we depart? We departed about 20 minutes ago. We had a quick departure today, so 2 hours. Excuse me. Air time is 1 hour 24. So say we get there about 1:30 GMT, which is 3:30 UTC plus 3, which is in Istanbul, Turkey. I'm just trying to look at the Turkish words on Google Translate, so this is probably not what... I don't know, maybe pilots do this during their actual flights if they got time and they got the autopilot on. Looking up foreign words for when they arrive in the country of their target destination, etc. So we're cleared now because we're passing 27,000.60 Mach. That's going to translate, well at the moment not very fast, we're not maintaining speed as I expected, so let's go ahead and stick the anti-ice on. May have an ice build up. Cabin controls coming down slightly to about 20 degrees. Remember, that's not just for the cabin, that's for the cockpit as well. Worst place to have a fire in the pneumatics, I think. Yeah, very slow cruise speed on this. We might have to change altitude if we can't maintain it. I'm going to go back to the Turkish. Sure, pilots don't learn this on the flights, but I said merhaba and then nasılsın. I believe it is, and there's us. If there are any Turkish in chat, then it'd be lovely to have your feedback on whether you like Istanbul Airport in general. I've never been. Very popular though.
Thousand to go.
There we go, very slow cruise speed indeed, 220. I'm surprised he gave us that altitude considering the weight. Just double checking sim brief, it was 100% 31,000, cost index 78. Okay, so something's just happened. We got a master caution warning. Something's making a strange sound. I thought that was an engine. God, I thought that was an engine failure then. Oh, blimey, that scared me. Whew. I honestly thought we had an engine failure. Oh, man. Anyway, we're cruising now. We've got anti-ice on. Everything else is looking good. We've not got any overheat warnings on the electronic hydraulic things over here, which has usually happened. Oh, sugar. We've got bleed trip off. We've lost the bleed air. That's really, really ironic. That's just happened. So that's what the sound was that went off. It was the air conditioning. This is so unplanned. I literally just said that to have an air conditioning failure would be an uncomfortable flight. And what do you know? The actual bleed air has just failed. Oh my goodness. Let's reset it. Okay, so it's coming back on. That was really, really frightening for a moment. I don't know how that happened. Trip reset. Unbelievable. Anyway, going back down, just some more of the instruments in case you don't know. Of course, this is the differential pressure between the cabin altitude and the altitude outside. Let's go ahead and turn the fasten seatbelt signs off. People can walk around. This isn't as good range, of course, any higher. You can see there's a warning. Alternate horn cut out in case you don't know what to do. In case you don't have to turn the sounds off. We just got another duct pressure failure on the air conditioning. This is a bit concerning. Oh my goodness. We're depressurizing, completely unexpected. Oh my god. Okay, we're gonna have to just descend at the moment. I'm going down to 26,000. I think we're too high up. Okay, very, very frightening. We've just had... So this thing, the air conditioning stopping, and then we had a cabin altitude warning, literally as I was talking about it. Cabin was depressurizing slightly, I think, because of the air pressure from the bleed air not working. Automatic on the valve, recirculation fans. There's no reason for that to stop, so I'm going down to 26,000 just to make sure it doesn't happen again. And it's happened again. We're in a real pickle. Oh my goodness. Keeps tripping out. I mean, that could be an issue with the electrics. Because obviously there's still air coming through the engines. The engine's still running. I'll descend 26,000. That might help if we're going a bit faster. Trim airs on. I'm going to update them on that's in by text. CV220 descending. Flight level 260. Due to air conditioning issue. Just check the chat as well. If you are here fine, just thank you for your concern. I was absolutely fine all the week. Just decided not to stream and to enjoy a bit of a time off from the streams. Doing other things, you know, enjoying the weather, enjoying Easter and things. So I hope you had a good week too if you're here. And of course everyone else. In terms of our progress, we're allowed to speed up a bit more now. As we descend 260 and we're almost. Let's change our course. 135.
Thousand to go.
So there's the reference for speed. So we landed about 142. It's V reference, which is the speed. So V ref, and then you add 5 knots for precaution and winds, etc. Flaps 40 degrees. We may go full flaps. We may go 30. If we're going to be landing 142 at 40 flaps, we might as well just land with 30 degrees of flaps at 148. I'm just going to change. I wonder if we can change the power settings on it now. So index, performance. So the performance is looking pretty good as well. Nothing popping up on there should cause an issue. Turn that panel up. See the brightness on the instruments. There we go. I think we were just going slightly too slow because we weren't picking up enough. We were literally at 220. So I suspect well, I said there was enough air to keep the engines running, but there might not have been enough to supply the whole system, or there might have been a blockage with ice or something. Let's turn the packs on high. And you see there, wing anti-ice. Well, we've got the anti-ice switched on. Very cool feature. Any moment. Usually there'll be someone who comes and asks me if I want to start, so if they can serve refreshments, well, yes please. A nice hot coffee. Good evening, good afternoon people, ladies, gentlemen. Hello madam. He's looking very dapper. We did come from Serbia, just a reminder. And we're going to Istanbul. It's not a very full flight, 118 people. And we're going to do something magic. We're going to teleport back into the cockpit. Boom. Yeah, so it's all sorted now. I think probably just a speed issue, I suspect, on altitude problem. An hour and a half, 1 hour 30 flight, unbelievable. I think it's best to be quiet from now on, so I'll let you enjoy the peace and quiet. Any questions, just ask me in chat and I'll answer. Ladies and gentlemen, this is your captain speaking. We're experiencing some severe turbulence at the moment. Please fasten your seatbelts for the time being and remain seated for the duration of the flight. Should we encounter some improvement in weather or air, I'm going to turn the seatbelt signs off. In the meantime though, please sit back and relax and don't worry about it.
As we prepare for landing, be sure your seat backs are buckled. Items to discard, please pass them to us as we come through the aisle.
I just did some reading on the air duct system just to check that there wasn't anything major, just to make sure I know what's going on as well. So the air duct system, I want to be sure that I'm clear on this and you're all clear on this as well. The warning came on apparently because we can have on this air conditioning in the packs, we can have an overpressurization, an overheat or a leakage. So because it's gone off now and we've turned the packs onto high, we've relieved some of that pressure in the system. Now apparently that can be caused by things like you can do an overheat test as well, but it can be caused by of course overpressurization and by selecting too high a thrust limit. Now we did select climb 2. It was recommended to select climb 2 to avoid that issue, so I'm not sure if we need to alter that in flight, or I don't even think we can, to be honest. We can't change it as far as I'm aware. So climb is 94, I think that's N, that's the second option. So there's no reason there, so it must have been an overpressurization. So that's very cool, and if you want to know the reference for the site, if you're interested in aircraft, of course, go to, I've never used this aircraft site before. It's called 737.org.uk. Use it at your own risk, do your own checks on it, make sure it's safe for you. So yeah, very cool to read up on that issue. I'm just double checking the arrival, so it's the Alpha Yankee Tango Echo 2 Quebec arrival for 35 right. I don't think we've got ATC available, so we're going to be using entirely flight plan based for this one. And according to the VATSIM radar, Grantham Flight TV Tango Victor 220 is flying nicely over, let me find my aircraft. Well, we're flying nicely over the Balkans at this point. That's all we need to know. The transponder is still working. If we check our map, we should be able to see some airspace. So I think we're over Bulgaria, possibly. Yeah, Bulgaria. There's Sofia. Absolutely a lovely country in the Balkans as well. Highly recommend it. And the amazing mountains. Okay, although this is interesting, although Istanbul doesn't have an ATC available, blimey, it doesn't have an ATC, but it has plenty of traffic in the vicinity. There are dozens of planes at the airport, airliners of course. And we're about halfway there. So according to the VATSIM radar map, and that's on vatsim-radar.com, there's 3 aircraft parked at Istanbul Airport, Lima Tango Foxtrot Mike. I just want to plan in advance to give anyone the opportunity to understand what the flight plan is. This is only a step mark towards Moscow because we have to avoid, I'm doing the actual flight as a real world ops, so you wouldn't fly from Serbia to Moscow or any other country in Europe for that matter. You only got a few countries that'll fly there, so we can fly down to Istanbul, Turkey, and then after that we're going to go to Georgia, and from Georgia we're going to fly up to Moscow. So we're taking the long route round. And typically, if the airspace was being used and it didn't have restrictions, we'd fly from Belgrade straight to Moscow. But obviously the current problems, we can't fly over Ukraine, and I don't feel comfortable flying over Belarus either. I think Belarus is off limits, Kaliningrad's off limits. We noticed that when I went to Riga as well, so that's unfortunate. Flight plan's giving us 109-109.55 for ILS 35 right. We only need 30 degrees of flaps. QNH is 1016. Okay, so there's the difference. There's no dial pad to input the navigation frequency. You have to use the dial instead rather than a keypad. That's very interesting. If you are going to tune an ILS, be sure to do it on both sides. I'm gonna make it slightly cooler in the cabin. It's about 20 now. I'm gonna try and get it down to 18 degrees. And forward and aft, and then this one as well. Temperature's decreasing, so about 19. Aiming for 18, 17, 18 Celsius. Let's just go ahead and put it on cold, or cool air. Auto brake should be on when we land. It's set automatic. We don't have the So it's an auto brake disarm, but we can choose our own option there. I did an RTO before, I didn't bother turning it off. 2 is standard, I think, for my Londons. You can go 3 or you can go max. Of course you can change the speed reference there as well, N1 and V1, VR, etc. Very handy. Thank you to everybody who's watching on Tuesday afternoon. Very glad to see you here. It's good to have some more views in chat. Quite exciting actually. I've never had this many on views, so thank you. If you have a recommendation for a flight you'd like to see or an aircraft, provided it's on Explain 12 or it's on something like Flight Gear, I'm happy to do that on request. We are in fact 38 nautical miles out from the top of the descent, so this is where things start to get good. We'll go down, we're already at flight level 260, we should be at 290 by then, and then 260, 250, etc, etc, and the final approach, so 20,000, it's giving us 9,000 feet, and then 4,000 feet for the RLS, 3,000, so it's quite a high up approach. I think this is the holding pattern, so hold at 3,000 if we need to go around. There's no ATC, so there shouldn't be any issues. So final height is coming up as 4,000 feet. Local QNH, as I say, 1016, so it's very similar to what we have now. I'm going to go ahead and program it in, so we'll go down to, we're already at 26,000, we can go down to, I'll keep it above 10,000 because then we can build up a bit of speed that way and we won't have to slow down below 250. So let's go down to 14,000, we'll get to the top of descent. So I'll change that now, so we put 140, 14,000 feet. I'm going to arm the speed brakes early, I like to do it all, make sure I'm all set up on time. We don't need to change anything on the red panel, the air duct pressure seems to have resolved. If I turn the packs onto automatic it may come back on again, so I'll leave them on high for now. A few aircraft in the vicinity. We got a small plane down here, maybe a Cessna or something, or a Piper. Wizz Air there. THY, I'm not sure what that is, of course Qatar. And we're still over Sofia, we're still over Bulgaria, and in a moment we're passing into the Turkish airspace. Since we have, I just realised we don't have VNav engaged anymore because we've, excuse me, we had to do the flight level change in mid-flight. We could have increased the speed, I suppose, but we're already at 75% thrust. 12 nautical miles out. Let's just see if we can increase that speed a bit. So it's increasing nicely. There's no issues on the pressure. There's no issues on the warnings popping up or annunciations. We do the annunciation recall now. You can see flight control, I'm resuming, IRS fuel, electrics, APU and overheat and detect detent there. So we verified our landing altitude. I hope we verified it. Let me just double check the airport. Don't think Istanbul is going to be high up though. It's not exactly sat in the mountains. So I was right. It's about 300 feet. Not bad. Not a bad guess. Got about 300 feet in there. We've just done the system annunciation recall. We have checked the VREF. We go on reference, initialization reference. We got so 141 plus 5, 146 knots is our landing speed. So 1016 on pressure, and then barometric and radio things on there to give us the minimums. Let's go on barometric there. Navigation, we've tuned the ILS. If you recall, we tuned it down there with dials instead of a keypad. We selected the auto brake, so we're already well ahead of schedule. Approach, you don't have to worry about that yet. Top of descent has come and gone. Let's go for flight level change or vertical navigation, and let's see if it'll descend. So this will now follow the FMC speed and altitude. So it'll go down, I think 25,000, or it might go down to 14,000 feet as we've selected. Okay, so fantastic. This model's doing a little bit better. It's gone down to 25,000 as programmed in the FMC. So it's going to follow that instead of the MCP's altitude. If you're just getting in, by the way, welcome. My name's Grantham. We are about to land in Istanbul in about 10 to 15 minutes, I think. Hopefully we can get there sooner rather than later. Traffic's good, relatively small amount of turbulence on during the flight, but nothing major. If you want to watch the takeoff, of course, go back to the beginning, and I might put timestamps in later. deceleration approach is approaching. It's got quite the zigzag till we get to final. As you can see, we've got a snake pattern there. So forward to the southeast. Quite the bend, yeah. Forward, down, round. Plenty of time though. If you're wondering what the crew would be doing at this point, I think they've been making the radio calls to the ATC, and of course they've just done the pre-flight, pre-landing, excuse me, pre-descent checks and descent checks. There's also depressurization. The aircraft's equipped with oxygen masks. You simply click on this button down here and you can equip it. There's deceleration point. So this green, you know, it means to idle the engines to slow down. I mean, the aircraft, this model in particular, the blank livery Zebo, this is the Zebo Mod 737, by the way. This is not the default aircraft. This particular livery seems to be, you know, working the vertical navigation correctly, and it seems to be functional compared to the, you know, Ryanair, KLM, TUI liveries, which is kind of surprising. You'd expect it to be the same overall, or camouflages if you like. Camouflage livery, whatever you want to call it. Okay, there's deceleration point again, so it'll probably slow down maybe to 250. Place your bets now. So we're approaching some water now. We are in Turkey, by the way. Welcome to Turkey. Landing imminently in the next 10 minutes. This piece of land, water. What airport's that? Is that Turkey? Okay, there's Turkey, Istanbul Airport. Got a nice headwind. Yeah, sorry, I got distracted. That little piece of the light, it looks like a lake, the water. Let me show you on the map. It's called the Sea of Marmara. Sea of Marmara. I believe that's what this little bit of this thing here is called. This is obviously part of connected to the sea. You know, you got the outlets. So yeah, very cool. We're just descending rapidly now, so I'm going to set the final altitude as 4,000, which is the approach height. Really busy and big airport, Istanbul Airport. It's got 5 runways, which is unbelievable. 1, 2, 3, 4, I mean, that's just unbelievable, isn't it? For an airport. We're being followed by another aircraft. Wizz Air. We may get an alert on the TCAS if he comes too close. Let's go ahead and give them a call at Istanbul Airport if they're available. I'll give them a call when we're about there, a little bit closer. There's no ATC, so we don't have to panic too much. I think we can just about see it. We may just be able to see it from this distance. Anyway, I was right, it was 250 knots. If you place your bet, well done, you've won. 250 when we get below 10,000 it'll probably stay at 250. We can deploy flights when we get down to 220 I think, and we'll turn the engine thing on as well. Okay, we crossed the transition altitude. As you can see, I mentioned earlier we got the yellow warning indication that we've crossed the threshold, so we click standard pressure off. Local pressure is 1016. I have got a pilot, co-pilot quick view. We'll set standard pressure. Brake pressure is looking good. Okay, autopilot's just clicked off. Now we got the warning for, let's just disengage, and re-engage it. There we go. So just slowing down to about 245, 240. Good afternoon, Istanbul traffic. This is Tango Victor 220. I'm descending through Eta to Quebec for 35 right. Current flight level 95. I think it's supposed to be 950, but I'm sure anyone else listening will understand what I mean. So I descended we should be at 4,000 next, so I'm going to deploy a notch of flaps. One degree of flaps for now, and then we'll deploy the rest when we get a bit closer. We've still got quite the acrobatic manoeuvre to perform here. We could realistically just go straight to final. Straight to this. Straight there basically to the final. But it's sort of taking us left, right to base leg. Slowing down quite rapidly, I might add, to 184. Seems to be early for the aircraft. One key thing you shouldn't forget either is the speed brake. I have forgot it on occasion, but in general not. 016. Landing lights can come on quickly. Nice click machine there. And we'll click, when we get closer to final, we'll click ignition to continuous, which are these two little switches here. As you can see, ignition, window wipers there, we don't need that. Very, very cool plane though. It's definitely on par with, you know, a 747 in terms of flyer enjoyment, in terms of flying it. Really enjoy this, along with the 777 of course. Tupolev 154B is not exactly like a Boeing, but it's still a very cool aircraft, and it's from the 80s as well. I suspect, you know, many years ago when the aircraft was in operation, it would have flown this route in real life. So I may jump back into the Tupolev on flight gear. I'm going to intervene on the speed. Well, I should have intervened, so we've gone a bit too slow, I think, for this approach. 180 is alright, but 210 is kind of ideal. I suppose we got the bends and things, and that's what the FMC has programmed for us. Typically, if I was going to do this, I'd probably do it about 210. An ATC would most likely give us a faster speed as well. There we go, there's our turn. So we're turning on just about base leg, which is the final turn before final, or second to final turn before final, which is the final approach. A lot of finals in there. Now we got ED, green. That's something to do with, of course, the hold and the go around. No traffic in sight though, no traffic on the TCAS system. We have just 3 aircraft actually, and a slightly strong crosswind of about 12, it was about 12 knots. So that should be interesting. And we're going to be landing here, 3-5 right, so I've never seen, this is quite a unique airport. I've never seen an airport with this kind of layout before. I have to let me know of how this was designed, who designed it. I might look it up and just dig into it a bit more, because it's very interesting to see these taxiways, particularly behind the approach like that. I'm going to do the chat list. So we got a chat list, we've done the descent, we do the approach. Ground proximity flap is a strange one. You have to go over here to the right side where the co-pilot is. You see ground proximity flap, so we can just open those like that. Can do a system test, but that's not worth it in the air. So with ground proximity flight check. We've switched the landing lights on, check. Passenger signs on, check. Altimeter set. We've updated RMP, so that's the approach list. We don't have to select this until we're closer to the localizer. When we detect it, you'll notice the pink bars here. There's already 1 pink bar on the horizon there, and of course laterally as well. Speed brake is already armed. Missed approach altitude is 3,000 feet. I'm going to go back up to 3,000 if we miss. Top descent there from 9,000, that'll take us down to final height, 4,000 feet. So, yeah, just about into Istanbul. It's taking a little bit of a time on the approach. Cautious not to put any more flaps down, we've got 1 notch. If I put any more down, it's going to slow us down. I'll wait till we descend. We've got to be well too slow. I mean, this is taking forever, isn't it? We're gonna run out of fuel by the time we get there. I select 5 degrees of flaps. We're about to descend in a moment. So this helps slow us down to 163. So I was told that sometimes you can be pitched up too much on final if you put the flaps down too late, apparently. Or too early or something like that. My experience, it's just a simulator, it's just a game thing, it's not actually, like the time on putting the flaps down is perfectly acceptable for what I'm doing. So 5 degrees of flaps. Let's just click lever change now, we're going to be down nice and early. And we're going to maintain about 180 speed. We'll do it all with the MCP instead of using vertical navigation. Makes it a little bit easier. Yeah, because it would have been too high if we descended then. So here we are coming in. Low IFR approach, so we've got that tuned. 109.55 confirmed in 2 as well. There's my plane. We have a, it looks like an A38 there, going to Emirates probably. Now we should be able to see the airport from this distance. There's quite a lot of clouds and other things in the way, probably some haze and smog or something. Quite warm outside, it's +9. I'm going to go ahead and turn the anti-ice off. Oh, hang on. Anti-ice went off and we had a warning come up. I hope that's not to do with the cabin, this pack system again. I'm not too sure if there's a leak or not. Like I said, I assumed it was high pressure during the flight. If I chuck them back to water now and it cuts off, we're screwed. So 146. 15 degrees of flaps, slow down to 165. Can't quite see the airport. We're going to go ahead and call final in a second. It looks like from Frugo, I believe that is, to the runway. So Frugo, this waypoint, so we've got about 11 nautical miles, which is good, that's plenty of time there. Or between Gap D, my mistake, Gap D and the runway. A good amount of distance there to get prepared for London. Got to turn the turnout lights on. Ignition can go to continuous. So we've got 15 degrees of flaps. Slow down to 160. Now because we've got a good amount of distance from this waypoint to the runway, I'm going to wait to a low landing gear. It looks close but it isn't. Usually we do it within 5 nautical miles of the runway. Typically, it depends on what the weather is.
1,000 to go.
1,000 feet till you reach 4,000. Already relatively low down at the moment. Should be able to see the entirety of Turkey. It looks very pretty. The city's looking actually really, really incredible. The scenery's a lot better than I thought it would be. So yeah, amazing. can actually see the buildings and see the, you know, nation below us. Incredible. Absolutely incredible. So there's 4,000 feet, we'll maintain that. Trim's looking good, speed's looking good. Time to call in, I think. Istanbul traffic, Tango Victor 220, Boeing 737. I'm going to descend through 4,000 to final 35 right. I don't even know if that's proper ATC comms there, but there's no ATC available, so I have to make do with improv for the time being. There's no warnings coming up from other traffic in the area. We've checked the map. There's no other traffic in sight. I mean, there's plenty at the airport, but there's none taking off on the runway we need. 11 knot crosswind there. Very tricky approach. The clouds are low down. No rain, no storm weather though, so we should make it in time. Some skyscrapers. I imagine there's plenty of like temples and, you know, good places to visit. I know there's a fantastic coastline, as we've seen the coast, we've seen the lake, sea, etc. There's also one on the right side, looks beautiful, some boats in it down there. So everyone's having a fantastic time on their Turkish holidays. We're about to intercept the localizer, 35 right, keep forgetting the runway, it's 35 right, 100%, so we're not quite on the glide slope, we are on the approach path now for the localizer. So what I can do is go back over to the MCP, a very smart system, and I can select localizer. It'll continue to follow LNAV and then it's turned off because we're locked onto the VOR localizer. We've picked it up, we can see the diamond or magenta diamond. We could actually select approach, but the aircraft is turning. Okay, so I've had this issue before. The aircraft is not obeying my command. So I've had that issue before with the approach. The That's really unfortunate. Like the pink diamond's aligned. It's there, but it's not working on the autopilot, which is a shame. So if I select autopilot now, it should really follow the approach onto final. The aircraft is just, oh my goodness. I think I take it back. I take it back. The aircraft's broke. It's completely broke. Unbelievable. So it's all manual for now. We're going to slow down to 14. I think it's 146. Well, we've got 9 nautical miles to go. Forgive me for that mess up. That's the autopilot, unfortunately. We descend very, very slowly just to follow the ILS glide slope. Full flaps. And gear down. So help decrease the speed. Three green lights.
2500.
There's a warning, we're a little bit above the glide slope, we're off it laterally. There we are, just about crossing the glide slope height. Right for the clouds. It's going to be a tricky one. I'm going to go ahead and turn the autothrottle off, so we're literally all manual at this point. And it's very, very bumpy as well, there's a lot of turbulence. As you can see on the heading, bouncing all over the place. We got 5 nautical miles to go. I'm just trying to get aligned on the ILS at the moment. Fighting the weather at the moment, so apologies about the autopilot. And we're going to go from 3 on brakes.
Light slow.
1,000 feet stabilized, Mr. Birch, altitude set.
So the co-pilot thinks we're stabilised. We're clearly not. We're below the glide slope by quite a lot. There's the glide slope. Slightly too fast. Sorry, slightly too low. Which is why the warning's popping up. Probably one of the worst approaches I've ever done. But then again, lesson learned. I usually wait till we get on the glide slope to put the glide slope and localise the switches on. I made a mistake, I selected it early. That's my fault. There's 1,000 feet. Missed altitude set. Is that land? Where's the runway? Okay, there's the runway. We're well off. My mistake. We're well off. Don't worry. Mistakes can be corrected. Typical day for an airline pilot.
500.
There's them taxiways I was talking about.
400.
A little bit high up.
300. 200. 100.
35 right.
50. 40. 30. 20. 10.
Safe touchdown, reverses, spoilers. Hard landing on the nose. Very good. We've touched down in Istanbul after a very long and somewhat convoluted approach.
80 knots.
Appreciate your patience during that tricky situation. Okay, reverse thrusters are stowed. Good thing we had the auto brakes on. Flaps retract. Landing lights off, taxi lights on. APU on. Tango Victor 220, clear 35 right, Istanbul traffic. Alright, let's taxi to the gate. Ignition can come off. We can take our strobes off. Don't want to blind over pilots. APU's come on, so let's switch the APU generators. Let's stick the APU bleeder on. Isolation valve to automatic. We all know that was a terrible approach, and autopilot balls it up at the end. Apologies for the swear words. Yeah, very bad very bad approach, and an excellent landing. I think that's one of the first times I've had a 5-star landing, and it wasn't even that good. Oh my, I think that rating system might be broke, so I'm going to try and download some external software for it. Although we did, to be fair, we had a crosswind, we had a strong crosswind there of, you know, 11 knots, which is relatively, it's not a lot for a 737, but when it's coming straight from the side it is. So we can go down here, but we can go to the terminal. I'm going to keep going, let's see, find a spot next to one of these other airliners. Okay, transponder can come off, or to standby. Passengers, they'll disembark once the engines are off. Minimal power around other aircraft. We'll assume there's other aircraft in the vicinity, and we don't want to upset anyone on the airport either. We're in the airport. Noise pollution, sound, all that thing, they all come into account when you're landing or taking off from an airport. Got a lot of Dubai, Emirates there, KLM in the background. Trying to make up my mind where we're going. Like usual though, when you get to an international airport like this, it's usually hard to find a parking space. It's almost as bad as parking in your car at the airport. Emirates, Air France, KLM. We've got a nice taxiway here, nice empty jetway. We'll go ahead and join this. And this might be for a Boeing 747 or a 777. We'll go ahead and take it anyway. Engine shut down. Beacons off. Taxi lights, fuel. Leave one on for the APU. Passengers will disembark. Yeah. Jetway's connecting. So we say au revoir to the passengers. Let's just do a quick rundown of the aircraft. So isolation on, we can turn packs off. Let's go ahead and leave it in a state ready for the next crew. We'll switch the fuel pump off just to make it a bit more difficult for them. IRS stays on. Just making sure that store warning did work. Fuel warning, of course. Let's go and keep it on for the APU. I keep changing my bloody mind. There we go. So if you enjoyed that fantastic flight with a very terrible landing, let's just remind ourselves we had a 5-star landing, very bad approach. Yeah, if you enjoyed it, then join me for the next one. We've gone into plain aircraft, trying to remain airline neutral with these flights. We're going up to Moscow next, but we have to stop at Georgia on the way. I might do a 3-part flight like I did last time. We'll do 4 sectors. That's going to take a few hours, so we'll just do it to Georgia, I think. Yeah, thank you for joining me this Tuesday. It's been a little bit different to stream this early and this day of the week. Appreciate not being streaming as usual, so if anyone's stuck around for this and for the usual ones, then thank you. Thank you for joining me today, and have a beautiful time for the rest of the week.